Yo, what is up, y'all? It's Cone back here again tonight with another episode of After the Buzzer, the show where I recap the NBA games from the night. There were 6 games to talk about tonight. Of course, the first one, as you saw from the thumbnail and the title that I want to talk about, is Raptors versus Heat. This was a really fun one. It went to triple overtime. It was so much back and forth. The Heat had like 10 chances to win this game with like game-winning shots, and they just kept either one, not getting shots off, or Tyler Hero would miss a 3. It felt like he missed like 10 threes to try and either win or tie the game. It was kind of crazy, but in the end, the Raptors do come out on top 124 to 120. And listen to the minutes that these Raptors starters played. So they only played 8 guys in this game, and off the bench, it was Precious Achiuwa, 16 minutes, Chris Boucher, 12, and Banton, 9 minutes. So their starters: OG Anunoby, 56 minutes. Scottie Barnes, 56 minutes. Siakam played 57 minutes. 56 for Gary Trent Jr. and 54 for Fred VanVleet. It was ridiculous. Nick Nurse had a game that Tom Thibodeau would be very proud of, and the more that I watch the Raptors, even just like outside of this one game, is I just really enjoy watching the Raptors play basketball. I felt bad that they didn't play this many minutes, but the Raptors are fun. I really like watching them, and I feel like not many people talk about them that much, but this Raptors team is... If you like physical defensive basketball with some crazy shots, because it feels like the Raptors have these like ridiculous games every other game, or maybe that's just me, maybe I'm, misremembering that somehow, and just every time I happen to watch them, they are having a ridiculous game, but it always feels like the Raptors are embroiled in some really weird, crazy game. This is just a key example of it. OG Anunoby is a great defender and a super fun player that is kind of coming into his own. Scottie Barnes is probably second right now in my Rookie of the Year race, behind Evan Mobley, right there as well with Cade Cunningham, but he had 22, 9, and 3 in this one, hitting some big shots. Stone cold killer, hitting 2 free throws at the end of, I believe it was regulation. I've forgotten when all the big shots happened at this point. Pascal Ciaco, 21, 13, and 6, 57 minutes. Like I said, he almost played an hour of NBA basketball, which is ridiculous. Just the way that he has stepped up in such a big way. I feel like people forget how good Pascal Siakam is. Like, he is a genuine all-star caliber talent. And I feel like after last season, where he was kind of here or there are a bunch of memes about him, people have kind of started to underrate Siakam. He's really good, and I love this small ball center role that they have him in. It's something that I advocated for when they drafted Scottie Barnes. I said that either A, they're going to trade Pascal Siakam, or B, they should try and turn him into a small ball center, because they don't really have many centers on their roster. As I mentioned, Chris Boucher and Precious Achiuwa as centers, but they're not really like they're both kind of smaller, like thinner frames. Like, Siakam is a small ball center, even though he doesn't have the height and the physicality of some other centers. He's also a mismatch on the other end because he's hard to guard. He can stretch the floor, and I really like his fit with this Raptors starting 5. So I'm glad that that's something that Nick Nurse is doing. Him and I, we're on the same wavelength. We think the same. Although maybe I wouldn't have played them this many minutes. Gary Trent Jr., I've said it before, he's one of my favorite younger players in the league. 33, 5, and 1. His defense continues to get better. He's just all around a bucket. It was super fun to watch him in this game. And just over the course of this season, he's a guy that I'm still shocked the Trailblazers were willing to part with. I know they got Norman Powell, who is a solid player. He's having a little bit of a down season this year, but I get why they traded him. I just still think it was kind of a mistake, because I like Gary Trent Jr.'s game so much. I think he's a great fit next to Fred VanVleet in this backcourt. And when I get to Fred VanVleet, he had a rough game. He was shooting terribly for most of this game. And then we get to, I think it was double or triple overtime, and he could not miss every big shot they needed him to hit. Threes from the logo. Fading threes like over guys' outstretched arms. Fred VanVleet was doing it all, and that's what he's been this season for this Raptors team. He's been clutch, he's played great defense, and when they need the big shots, even if he's having a bad game, he is the guy that they're going to give the ball to and say, get us that bucket. And that's part of the reason why I have him on my all-star team. I think he is an all-star. Even if he had a rough shooting game, the way that he stepped up in the clutch shows why he should be an all-star. The way that he's played this season, the way that he has stepped up in those big-time moments and been so huge for a Raptors team that right now is fighting in the play-in tournament. They're a team that, if I'm a top seed, I don't want to face the Raptors round 1. Not because I'd lose, but because they're one of those teams that's going to give you way too difficult of a series for the first round. When you're a 1 or a 2 seed, you're supposed to have like kind of an easier series. It's like, oh, it's an 8 seed, it's a 7 seed. There are some exceptions, but typically that's kind of how it goes. This Raptors team is so physical, they're young, and you can see here, they played like almost an hour each of their starters, and they beat the number 1 team in the Eastern Conference at this point. They play hard. Nick Nurse is a great coach, and this is a team that's hungry, they're young, and they feel like they it just feels like they want to win at every single turn. They play with a lot of heart, and they're just super fun to watch. I've enjoyed watching this Raptors team every time I watch them. So if you're not watching the Raptors, watch some more Raptors games. They're young. If you like great defense, this is a team for you. I know they gave up 120, but it was in triple overtime. And like I said, the number one team in the Eastern Conference, the Miami Heat. So, you know, it happens, but just really fun basketball to watch. It's very different from a lot of other teams, and I enjoy them a lot. So I want to give them the shout out. On the Heat side of things, Jimmy Butler, 37, 14, and 10 in 52 minutes. As I mentioned, Tyler Hero, he played 45 minutes, and he just could not buy a bucket in this game with 13, 6, and 4. I also really I need to give a shout out to Eric Spoelstra, because I personally believe he's the best coach in the NBA right now, and I love the way that he has been using PJ Tucker over the course of this season. It's kind of like a Draymond Green light, where they have him in the elbow, or they have him kind of in these like dribble handoff situations. I just really like how they're using him, because he's kind of just been a corner shooter and a small ball center, power forward for most of his recent career. So it's cool to see him used in those different ways. Shout out to Eric Spoelstra. They lost this one, but overall it was a really fun game. Moving on from that one, the Brooklyn Nets played the Golden State Warriors, and it was a close one. The Golden State Warriors come out on top 110 to 106. Kyrie Irving was the lone member of the big three in this one. He did have 32, 7, and 7, including a fadeaway three to make this a 1-point game with, I think, 8 or 10 seconds left. And it was a fadeaway three from the exact shot that he hit, that shot against the Warriors in the finals back in 2016. It was very reminiscent of it. I posted something about it on Twitter. If you want to see my Twitter, go check out the description below. But they were it was like identical spacing, like fading over an outstretched hand. It was super impressive. Kyrie was so good. And the more that I watch Kyrie, the more sad I get that he's a part-time player. I can understand there's been rumors that James Harden's upset with the whole Kyrie Irving situation. Like, he wants to see him play. He wants him to play full time so they can win a championship. And I get that, because Kyrie's a super talented player, and this Nets team ceiling would be so much higher if Kyrie would play every game. It happens, I guess. 24 from Patty Mills. In this game, Steph Curry continues to slump, but he did step it up big time with 14 points, I believe, in the fourth quarter, at least in the second half. I can't remember when he got... He kind of had a bucket that was towards the start. Maybe I'm misremembering. I'm pretty sure it was 14 points in the fourth quarter. Klay Thompson with the dagger in this one, only playing 27 minutes, but with 16.6 rebounds. Kevon Looney with 6 and 15, 24, 8, and 2 for NBA All-Star starter Andrew Wiggins. Really kind of the controversial thing at the end of this game was there was kind of this weird foul at the end with Klay like falling over, and it was like, oh, was that a foul or not? And Steph Curry got this weird foul as well, with kind of jumping into Kessler Edwards. There was some weird fouls at the end, and Steve Nash had an opportunity to challenge, and he didn't. Instead, he saved the timeout. It became a 4-point game, and you end up losing because of that. So at the end of the game, there were a lot of people like, Klay kind of just fell. Why did you not challenge that? Because it gave them a free throw, because it was it was a foul where they were in the bonus. It gave them a free throw. So why did you not challenge? And after the game, he said, a little birdie told me not to challenge, implying that a ref told him that it was a foul he should not challenge. And I don't really care. I feel like if you're a coach at that point, your team's going to go down 4, you should just challenge anyways. So it was kind of weird to me. I don't know. Didn't make a lot of sense. I know a lot of Nets fans are super mad about it. So if you're frustrated, if you're a Nets fan, let me know in the comment section below. Moving on from that one, Sixers Kings was kind of just the story of Tyrese Halliburton versus Joel Embiid. Tyrese Halliburton had 38, 3, and 7. He passed up a game winner opportunity at the end. They got a pretty good shot. He passed it off to Harrison Barnes, but he ends up missing it as the Kings fall 101 to 103. But he was a monster, and the Sixers better hope that the Kings reopen trade negotiations, because Tyrese Halliburton would be such a perfect fit for their roster. Him, maybe like a Buddy Hield to Harrison Barnes. I've said it in a previous video, I love that trade package for them. In terms of the Sixers, Joel Embiid at halftime had 12 points on 1 of 5 shooting and I think 5 rebounds. And so it looked like maybe this was kind of a game where Joel Embiid wasn't going to quite be Joel Embiid. And then the second half, he ends up with 36, 12, and 6 on, I think it was 10 of 18 shooting. He was just ridiculous. Completely took over what we've seen from Joel Embiid all season. It's insane how he continues to be so dominant. Even when he has like a poor half like that, where he only shoots 5 times, 1 of 5 shooting. In the second half, he's like, all right, this is my time and I'm going to take over, and nobody can really stop him. So shout out to Joel Embiid. He has been dominant is really, I feel like, the best word for it, but it doesn't even feel like it like fully encapsulates how good he's been. Moving on from that one, we had Mavs Pacers. The Mavericks blew them out by 27 points. Luka Doncic with a 30-point, 6-rebound, 12-assist game, including a step back fading into the corner buzzer beater. Luka Doncic just does it all. He's so good. And I feel like him and this Mavericks team in general have kind of become underrated. They are really killing it. Like right now, they are 29-21. They're right there in the thick of it to try and get a home court advantage spot in the Western Conference. The way that they've been playing, they're on a tear. I want to make a full video about them, so I won't harp on them too much, but look out for the Dallas Mavericks. And for the Pacers are just super boring. Like every time I watch the Pacers play, like yesterday watching the Thunder play the Pacers, sure, they beat us. Yeah, and it was a good job beating us because it was kind of like a back and forth game and stuff, and they closed out in the clutch. Domantas Sabonis was fantastic with a triple-double, but it's just like they're not going anywhere at this point. And it's reached the point where we're not even, like, they said they were going to blow it up, but now they're like not blowing it up. And it's just, I want to see this team blow it up because I think they've got some young, they can at least bring in some fun young pieces to this team. Right now, they're just in kind of a limbo. Karis LeVert isn't playing too great. He only had 14 points in this one. Domantas Sabonis was great again with 21, 15, and 8. But like, I want to see him play on a team that's playing like winning basketball. I don't really want to see him on kind of like this middle of the pack team. So I don't know. I hope they blow it up. I'm not sure if they're going to, but I hope they do. Moving on from them, the Boston Celtics played the New Orleans Pelicans, 107-97 win for the Celtics. Jason Tatum continues the tear he's been on with 38, 8, and 7. Jaylen Brown with 31, 8 and 16 for Robert Williams, 5 and 12 assists for Marcus Smart. This is kind of the way like I want to see the Celtics play more. Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown take over. Great supporting play from Al Horford, Robert Williams, Marcus Smart. And contributions a little bit from Josh Richardson. You would want to see Dennis Schroeder score more than 4 points, but I'm not even sure if he's going to be here beyond the trade deadline. But this was a solid win. They continue their momentum, beating the Pelicans. No Brandon Ingram in this one for the New Orleans Pelicans, so good on them for kind of keeping it close. It was kind of an all-around scoring effort with Jose Alvarado. I always mess up his name. 19 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists. 14 from Hernan Gomez, 10 and 13 from Josh Hart. They're just not really going to win without Brandon Ingram or Zion Williamson. And finally, the Grizzlies blowing out the Washington Wizards. Not much to say in this one other than Ja Morant is a monster. 34, 3, and 2. The Wizards, they stink. They're playing really bad basketball. Blew the big lead to the Clippers. You saw a video about that on the channel. If you didn't see that, go check it out. It was great. 38 and 3 for Kyle Kuzma. Not 38 points, 30 and 8 rebounds. Pretty good game from him. He's been having a great season. Only 9 from Bradley Beal. If I'm the Wizards, I'm calling people about Bradley Beal, not because I think that this slump that he's in is forever, but because at this point his trade value is only going to go down. And if I'm the Wizards, I'm not giving Bradley Beal a supermax this offseason. I would not feel comfortable in doing that. So I would at least call and check in on what his trade value is. If like teams are super low on him, no need to trade him. Even if he leaves, you could probably get a sign and trade in the offseason, but I would at least call because right now, the way things are going, this team at best is competing for a play-in spot, and that's not where you want to be. And if Bradley Beal wants to walk in the offseason, you need to ensure that you get something for him, because if he just walks to a team with cap space and you don't even get like a sign and trade or anything, that's a huge loss, because this past offseason, he was second in league in scoring, and you probably could have gotten something good for him. So overall, just kind of a weird situation there in Washington, but that's pretty much all I have to say. Let me know what you thought about the games below. Make sure to like and subscribe. I will see you all later. Real one, say it back.